Hollywood has a problem. And no, it's not one of the many issues that are probably going through your mind right now. It's actually something a little less serious, but still problematic enough that I notice it every single time I watch a new movie. Typecasting, which for those who don't know, it's pretty much how the industry identifies actors and puts them into categories. And the best example of this, of someone who I'll dig into a lot more later, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who just plays kind of the same character every single movie. But you may be asking, why is that a problem? Who cares if The Rock chooses to play the same character in 5 movies that come out in 1 year? Well, here's the issue. All these actors, regardless of their muscles or their body type, their gender, their race, if they're funny and have a background of comedy or sketch comedy, they all get forced to be in the isolated genres that suits them. And by suits them, I mean the industry puts them there because that's the role everyone kind of sees them at whenever they think of that actor. Like for our first example, in the 90s, everyone thought of Jim Carrey as just this comedic, wacky actor who would only do comedy films like Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura for the rest of his life. But he was one of the first to break out of this typecast by giving an emotional performance in Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yet those who may not know those movies so well, or his other movies that he's been in, only think of him as his typecast character. So therein lies one issue. He had to push to break out of this preconceived role that he was put in by the industry, to be stuck in comedies for the rest of his life, and let no one see the serious actor that he really is. On a smaller scale, we also get people like Robert Pattinson, who was this teenage dreamboat that everyone loved from Twilight, who had to really fight and work on his own to be in indie movies to break into serious acting and take on some of the roles he has today, like Batman or Tenet. But like I mentioned, these typecasts have a lot of problems, not just actors who are able to break the mold and get lucky, but for people like Eduardo Franco, who, if you don't recognize the name, is Argyle in Stranger Things, or was Argyle in Stranger Things. Don't know about that one. But if you look at all the work he's done in the past 5-10 years, I mean, how much of it has been a stoner dude with long hair just being like the chill guy? I mean, every single movie is this character. And sure, I'll be honest, his interviews seem like maybe that's just kind of who he is, like a relaxed guy who maybe he is a stoner, whatever. But it's so limiting to put him in these roles. Like, he is literally Argyle in Stranger Things, Booksmart, and that other camping movie I forget about where his dick gets chopped off. And because of this, who's going to hire him as a lead role in a really expensive film that a production company is putting on? I mean, not many people. And similar to Jim Carrey, we have Adam Sandler, who was super typecast in his roles for the first few years of his career, where he wasn't just the funny guy, but he was the stupid one as well. His antics in Waterboy, Billy Madison, and Happy Gilmore are so similar that those were the roles who everyone saw him in as the SNL character who never grew out of it. But luckily for him, he was given the opportunity in Punch Drunk Love to give his real acting performance as a serious actor. And yes, he did do the funny, wacky movies throughout the years, and he's still doing them today. But you watch Uncut Gems or Hustle and tell me he's not a real actor. But now let's get into the real problem with typecasting. When a role the actor is given depends on who he is in his past roles, then that can be super detrimental to their future. Look at Mark Hamill. He wasn't getting hired at all after Luke Skywalker. He was forced to go into the voiceover artist industry, which sure, he loves and he's amazing at, but that was only the conclusion after not being able to get any roles in other media. Now the problem with Mark Hamill is that he just didn't subscribe down below, like you should. Okay, I'm sorry. And possibly worst of all, the racist undertones behind typecasting. Pedro Pascal has spoken about this a lot, where back when he started acting, his name is Pedro, but he was white passing, so he wasn't given any Latino roles, even though he is one. And the pressure to change your name to fit the typecast they want to put you in was so high that I'm sure thousands of actors didn't even get the chance because of their background and what they looked like. But before we say any more, let's get into what I mentioned at the beginning. Rock bottom. That's what I feel like we're at this point, okay? The Rock's interesting because he started in wrestling, but eventually once he broke into that role, they just kept coming. I can think of like 6 Rock movies where he's exactly the same character in every single one. And I know what you're thinking. Well, isn't this just typecasting? Isn't this exactly what you were saying? Yeah, it is. But the important thing with The Rock is, not many people know he started his own production company to make all of these movies. If you look at a lot of the movies that he's been in the past few years, they are either co-produced or produced by his production company that basically hands him the role of the action hero. So he chose this typecast to fit himself into, and he's been riding that wave pretty much unnoticed for a little while now. With the amount of money and the power he has in his company, He's able to create a constant stream of movies that fit his typecast a million times over. Now there's a million examples like this, like Jason Statham, who's like the British spy in every movie, or Kevin Hart, who's just the short comic relief. And it's funny because he's small. And now I don't think many of these big actors mind being put in these roles because it means a constant stream of money and fame. I think the overall problem and undertones of typecasting can cause a lot of issues for people who want to get into the industry or for those who the industry turned against.
No, Jamal. You be tripping.
In all seriousness, guys, thanks for watching again. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a little bit about typecasting and why it's such an issue in Hollywood. If you did, leave a like and comment down below. Comment one of the actors who you guys think is most typecast in Hollywood nowadays. I think there's a lot more opportunities because of indie movies and all that nowadays. So I don't think typecasting is as tightly relied on as it was a few years ago. But let me know your thoughts. Subscribe down below. We're gonna get to 10,000 this year. I just know it. And as always, thanks for watching.